Hi everyone and welcome, my name is Dora and this is my next update to my eyeshadow declutter project pan. So how I tend to structure these videos, first I'm going to let you know what this project is, then I'm going to show you my selection that I've been working on up until today, yesterday technically, and let you know which two palettes are going to go on the chopping block, and then I'll introduce my new selection of palettes to you, and right at the end I'm also going to give you a little update where am I at right now in terms of this project and my collection overall. Alright, so basically because I'm having such difficulty letting go of makeup, specifically of eyeshadow palettes, I thought it'd be a really good idea to actually turn it into a fun project pan where I basically work on 5 palettes over a period of about 30 days. Sometimes, occasionally, that's a little bit less than that. And then at the end of that time that I spend with those 5 palettes as focus palettes, I then determine which 2 palettes do I want to put on the chopping block. I'm then going to revisit that chopping block of a total of 18 palettes at the end of the year and then figure out which of them do I actually want to let go of for good and which of them do I want to keep. The goal is that I would just like to have less, and I would like all of my makeup to fit into 2 drawers rather than 2 drawers right now plus overspill and another overspill here and there. It's just a little bit disorganized and just too much. Okay, let's talk about the palettes that I've been working on across June and July. So I did have a 30-day time period and that ended yesterday. So today I'm actually already wearing something from one of the palettes that I have selected for my next selection. But yeah, first of all, in no particular order, here are the 5 that I've been working on up until yesterday. So I've got the So Jaded Quartet by Revolution Pro, and yeah, 4 shadows in here. It's really nice. I've used everything but the pressed glitter. I've been really happy with this quart actually. Those green shadows work really nice in the outer corner, specifically with the bronze look that I'm trying to pan from my Pan That palette, and then also as a crease shade. Lovely, like a really nice texture. And yeah, can't speak for the pressed glitter because, you know, that's obviously very different. I've just put out the candles because it looked really Christmassy with that whole glare going on. No idea why, it must be the lighting, but yeah, anyway. Next is another Revolution Pro palette. This is the New Neutral Passion palette. I've also really enjoyed this one, and even though it's one of my oldest palettes, there were still many shades in here that I had never used up until this point. I managed to almost complete a No Pan Left Behind on this. I used these 3 shadows here in the top row. These 2 shadows here, this is a pressed glitter. I used these 2 shadows, and I also used the entire bottom row. I really liked this palette. It was quite fun. I liked those neutral shadows. They were quite cool leaning as a sort of all over the lid shade, and then mixing that in with my Pan That palette, Barry M Black Cherry. That looked really nice. I did like a nice iridescent type of look with this shadow here called Aura. Really enjoyed that. I like a pressed glitter as well, even though yeah, the purple and the pink I've yet to use because I'm trying to do No Pan Left Behind for deck of panning for this. But yeah, despite its age, I think it's still a really good palette. XX Revolution Bare Luxe palette. This is a favorite, and I really like the formula of the shadows in here. The shimmers are really smooth and buttery. The mattes are really nice too. I think there are a lot of sort of, you know, neutral leaning shadows in here that I can combine quite easily with whatever else I've got going on. Mainly, of course, with my Pan That palette. I feel like I already know this palette quite well. You know, it's been in Pan Those eyeshadows in the past and whatnot. And I've used 5 of the shadows this time round. I used the first one here, just a white matte, but super useful and super nice. I used Flicker as well. I remember changing the color of this quite a bit because I used it as a topper shadow. Or rather, you know, whatever was underneath. I can't quite remember now how I did that. It was quite towards the beginning of that month or 30-day period. I used this shadow as well on the outer corner, which was super lovely. And then I used this one again as a topper shadow. Yeah, it's a good palette. What can I say? I also had the Natasha Denona My Dream palette in this selection. And I only used 2 of the shadows, but because I swatch everything out for these videos, at least after, you know, filming this portion of it, I got a good idea for it. And even though I had done a No Pan Left Behind on this in the past, I was a little bit surprised by some of the formulas in here. But officially I used the black shadow, which I really liked in the outer corner, super nice. Blendable, great. I used Carpe Diem as well, so a matte sort of peachy leaning shadow. Again, that worked really nice as a crease shadow. And that's it. What I did notice though, when I swatched out the shadows for the cutaway shots of my previous video, this shadow here called Invention, I had a reaction to it. It really made my skin sort of, you know, itchy and red. Like, it was just a major reaction. So I wasn't entirely, you know, ready to put that on my eyes. I'm gonna have to, yeah, have a little think. And my final palette, another Revolution palette. This one is called Utopia, E-U-T-O-P-I-A. And I used 4 of the shadows here, but I dipped into them multiple times. I used Nirvana, a matte shadow on the outer corner, again with that bronzy look all over the lid. Really, really nice. I used Urbanism, that purple matte shadow, a few times. I used Zen, a shimmer here, which is a bit more interesting than what it looks like here. It's got like a more multi-chrome type of shimmer going on in there. And then I used Glimpse here, so that sort of plum colored shimmer here as well. Really like the formula and this overall color story as well. Okay, so chopping block, and I'm going by my newly found wisdom of trying to select my 3 favorites from this lot rather than trying to pick out my 2 least favorites, which seems like a more difficult task. So from this lot, my 3 favorites are these 3 Revolution palettes here. I definitely want to hold on to the quartet. I think it's really useful to have. What I've noticed is that I don't have enough green shades that I really, really like in my collection. Each month I've been trying to incorporate green shadows into the selections. It's not been that easy to do that because I just don't have that many green shadows. So I think this really has a place in my collection, and I like a small, you know, I can always squeeze that into my drawer. I think that's gonna work out. With the Utopia palette, I just really like this color story. I found that these are often shadows that I need if I'm trying to create something a bit different with my palette, for example. And yeah, of course, that's gonna change over the years. But still, I kind of need blue shadows if I'm trying to cool down shades by mixing them. So I think, again, really useful. And I do like pinks and purples as well. Lots of nice topper shadows in here. So yeah, it's a keeper. And then finally the Bare Luxe. I really like it. I think this could be a good palette contender one day. Not necessarily next year, but yeah, they're very shallow pans, and shades and colors and formulas that I enjoy are in here as well. So yeah. And that means that in some kind of weird way, I'm letting go of a Natasha Denona palette. I mean, on the chopping block, it's probably gonna get saved, but the fact that there was that one shadow that just by swatching made me have like an allergic reaction to it. And as I've always been saying, I'm really struggling with those cream to powder formulas. I find them really patchy. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And these are, of course, also magnetic, so I could potentially be saving individual shadows or mix and match with my glam palette. Yeah, but yeah. Anyway, it's probably gonna get rescued, let's be real. And then the Passion palette is also going on the chopping block. I would like to hold on to it as well. It might get saved, I'm not sure. I think it's actually a really exciting palette despite it looking a little bit funny. There are definitely shadows in here that I really, really enjoy, and then there's others that I'm just not that interested in. So therefore, yeah, chopping block. First of all, I'm picking this Natasha Denona Quintet here. This is the Ayana palette. I got mine from Ruth, it's linked down below. And yeah, there's another Ruth palette in here that I'm really excited to show you. So yeah, I want to put this one in. Oh no, I just broke it. The hinge just broke on here. These are, of course, also magnetic shadows, so I could always take them out and put them into like a Z palette type of thing. This shadow here with a huge pan, absolutely adore this shade. Can't say much about these other shadows here. I've used them, but not enough to be able to give you a verdict just yet, but I'll be able to do that in a month's time. Then I'm picking the BH Cosmetics Colori Vivace palette. I very briefly had this as my palette in 2024. Didn't get that far on it. 16 pans in here, but they're of course tiny. These shimmers were super, super nice as topper shadow. So I'd like to just show them some more love, continue to use them, experiment with them with different color combinations. And yeah, maybe like get to know these mattes as well. My phone storage was full. Okay. Colori Vivace, excited to try this out. Then I would also really like to work on my Mercury retrograde palette. Mercury is retrograde right now. By Huda Beauty. I have not shown this enough love, considering that I've had this for quite a while. It's a beautiful palette and I haven't even really used each of the shadows yet, so I'm also just super excited to swatch them out and spend a little bit more focused, dedicated time with this palette. Then I'm picking another Revolution Pro New Neutral palette. So I showed you the Passion palette, which I'm putting on the chopping block, and this one is the blushed palette. And I just think this is such a beautiful color story for summer. I think it's really, really pretty, and I like this matte teal color here again. Similar to Utopia, it'd be interesting to swatch them side by side. I think I probably won't do that and compare palettes with each other until I've got my complete chopping block selection at the end of the year. We'll see, maybe I'll do like a midway point type thing. And then finally, a brand new palette. Okay, so this is some of the Glaminatrix Cosmetics Sugar and Spice, but I only just got this one from Ruth, who sent it in the mail to me. I'm wearing it on my eyes today. I had to try it out immediately. So day one with this lot, because I'm already using this palette here. So Ruth has basically decluttered 15 shadows in this palette to me. So they're from different palettes from what I understand. And she's rearranged them because they're magnetic and let go of the ones that she knows she's not going to get that much use out of, and pass them on to me. Lucky. So even though of course I'm on a low buy for I'm on a no buy for palettes, I was just so curious to try out the Glaminatrix formula because I've heard so much about it, and when she offered it to me I said yes, okay, thank you, I would take it gladly. I'm trying to keep my collection low, but I couldn't pass this one up. So I'm excited about it, and if it means that I have to put one extra palette not just on the chopping block, but also on the actual declutter pile, so be it. So there's that, and I'll just quickly let you know what I'm wearing on my lids today. So I can't give you names because who knows. I've got this shadow here all over my lids, the dark brown matte in the outer corner, this on the lower lash line, and then this shadow here, which is a duochrome. Maybe you can make that out here. It shifts from like a teal to like a green yellow, and I'm wearing this as a topper shadow. And I'm using the yellow matte as well to just blend out the crease. Very excited, loving the impact of these shadows so far already. So you know, if it's any type of spoiler, I don't think this is gonna go anywhere. All right, super excited to find out what's gonna happen. Okay, very quick update. Remember my first chopping block lot? I had two palettes, the Ellen Tracy Naked Eye Collection palette and the I Heart Revolution Pineapple palette. I basically gave one of them to my niece and I gave the other one to my friend, and they have both reported back that they are super happy with those palettes, and I am happy. Sometimes I feel like I'm getting really impatient and I'd like to speed up this process and maybe only give myself a couple of weeks with these palettes. Then again, like this past 4 weeks, they just went so fast and I didn't have time to wrap this up sooner for this selection, this last one. I just don't know. Maybe it will come to a point where I'm just gonna be like, okay, let's look at everything and then declutter instead of continuing with this, but it still serves a purpose and I do like that dedicated time with that selection that I've got. All right, that's all I've got time for today. Thank you so much for watching all the way until the end. I hope you'll subscribe if you haven't done so already, and other than that, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or night, wherever you are, and I'm sending you so much love. Take care, bye.